Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary O'Connor with the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and the Aviation Safety Program at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health here in Anchorage. We'd like to thank Alaska Public Media for allowing us to bring you Hangar Flying. This evening, we are happy to have as our guest Samantha Case. Sam is a student at the University of Alaska in Anchorage, and she's working on her master's degree in public health. She also works in the Commercial Fishing Safety Program at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, and she is a coworker of mine. Welcome back to Hangar Flying, Sam.
Thank you.
So on our last show, we talked about the study that you did as part of your master's degree, looking at injuries to workers in the aviation industry, and specifically in Alaska. So in a 14-year period, you found 117 workers in aviation-related jobs that required hospitalization.
Yes.
You looked at crash-related injuries separately from non-crash-related injuries, and you looked specifically at workers. But I think everybody that flies an airplane or flies in an aircraft can benefit from your findings. So we're going to spend some time talking about your recommendations from what you found in your study. So what types of recommendations do you have for people to avoid being injured in aircraft crashes?
Yeah, so as you said, I really think anyone who's in an aircraft can really benefit from these recommendations. First was restraints. Anything from a lap belt, lap and shoulder belt, or harness, whatever is most practical for the aircraft and the type of flying that's being done. The installation and utilization of those types of restraints is recommended for flight crew and all passengers on the aircraft. Then when we talk about off-airport operations, such as landing on gravel bars, the use of helmets would be recommended to, prevent those traumatic brain injuries that we saw.
And can you remind us about what you found with the traumatic brain injuries, how many cases you found, because it was pretty significant, and for viewers that might not have seen the last program.
Yes, absolutely. So of the crash-related injuries that required hospitalization, nearly a third of patients suffered from traumatic brain injury. So that's pretty substantial. And so again, using helmets and when doing off-airport operations and really using risk assessment to see if that's appropriate is recommended.
Okay, that's some great advice. What recommendations do you have for preventing injuries that don't come from being in an airplane crash, or for people that do a lot of the work on the ground?
So what we saw in the results for non-crash injuries were that falls were accounted for over half of all those injuries. And looking at the circumstances of the falls a little closer, many of them were falls from the aircraft. So using precautionary systems, and that can include anything from safety nets or guardrails, whenever you have a worker who's at height, could be very beneficial in preventing injuries from falls. And additionally, the use of harness systems when working on the wing is something that is employed by some aircraft companies and is recommended for those working on the wing. We also saw slips on ice was a contributing factor to some of these injuries. And so whether it's using gravel or having workers, wear cleats while working on the ice, whatever is the most practical for the operations that they're doing is recommended.
Okay. A lot of people perform maintenance on their own airplanes, and we load and unload our own airplanes that we don't get paid for it. But these recommendations, especially avoiding slips and trips, can be useful for anybody that's around aircraft, or even participating in outdoor activities. Say people that are working in an area that has ice. You saw some pretty cool cleats. Can you describe those?
Yes. I went to the Occupational Safety Summit here in Alaska. It was back in October. And there is a manufacturer, I don't recall who it is, but they do make this bootstrap. It's a midsole cleat. So for those who are working both inside and out and you know, going back and forth frequently, you can turn this strap so that the cleat is then on the top of the boot when you go inside, and very easily turn it back when you go outside to prevent slips on ice.
That's a great idea because those cleats can be pretty slick on especially linoleum floors.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. I congratulate you on your defending your thesis, and I'm assuming that publication of your study is next.
Yes, so graduation is in a few weeks, thank you. And then, yeah, really disseminating these results and kind of getting it out to industry is really a priority of mine. So the Alaska Public Health Association Annual Health Summit and publication in a journal is kind of the next steps.
Well, we will look forward to hearing more about your research findings, and it's also a pleasure to work with you, Sam.
Thank you.
We appreciate the information that you've provided about injuries to our workers, and we thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy learning about events and happenings in aviation in Alaska, please consider becoming a member of the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation. Until next time, fly safely.